We got questions from Slack. I'm going to just read it directly.
Yep.
Question 1. So you're assuming that the system precludes like sock puppies, for example, by registration of users?
So is the question, what if the platform creates users itself?
Right. Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah, so that's again similar to the issue I was talking about where you could collude with a bunch of your friends to report something. We decided to punt on that because, for example, like with Signal, you need a real phone number to actually create an account, where if your platform is just creating all these accounts willy-nilly, most likely people will probably just not want to use that platform. But overall, we decided that's not an issue for us to figure out how do you make sure that a server isn't creating a bunch of fake accounts.
Yep, that makes sense. And question number 2, how do you decide how many slots are available for each message?
So that really depends on what threshold you set. I don't remember the number off the top of my head, but basically depending on what threshold you want, right? So like how many users you want to report a message and how many actual like people use the system and complain about it and how many messages are sent determines the number of slots per message. But in general, the whole table for, I think it was 1 million users, ends up being around 5 megabytes. So
it's also dependent on the number of users.
Right.
Okay. Yeah, then like how many people this message was forwarded to.
Right.
That also depends on. Okay, yeah. Sounds good. That makes sense. And I have one more question. I'm just curious. You just like partially answered my question. I'm just curious, if I am a user for, your design for the app or something, like how much is gonna occupy? Like memory-wise, if gonna run this, well, I have to store a lot of data because all those messages, those bits will be stored on my machine locally.
Yeah, so what we really focused on for part of this is making sure that this can be easily implemented on top of another system like Signal. So as far as like the user's data goes, the added message size is probably like a few bytes, wherever the size of the encrypted user ID is. So as far as messaging goes, that's not that much larger. As far as the table goes, it's probably going to be around a few megabytes in general when we're looking at it. So as far as server-side storage, as far as that goes, not that much. As far as speed goes for the reporting process, this only ends up adding when you actually go and report something. It takes like 250 milliseconds, which is around the normal time it takes you to send a message anyways. So as far as bandwidth goes and time to report goes, it's not like you have to report something and then wait 3 hours for that report to go through. It's pretty much as fast we saw experimentally as just sending messages.